Just last week was contacted by a veteran teacher in this district who I respect and put on the highest of pedestals I've known for 20 years. And he called me and said, "Hey, what are you going to do about ChatGPT and how can we make that a tool and a resource for learning?" And I said, "Well, we're still trying to understand." And his comment to me, and I had forgotten this. He said, "Grant, 15 years ago, I remember when you said we couldn't use Wikipedia as a resource in social studies classes." And I had to step back for a moment and reflect on the fact that we can't be that slow to the game with ChatGPT.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hello, my name is Rivera, and I serve as very proud superintendent in Marietta City Schools. We have 9,000 students across 12 schools, and our district is just about 30 minutes north of Atlanta.
Hello, I'm Thomas Taylor. I'm the superintendent of Stafford County Public Schools located in Stafford, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C., near Quantico, Virginia. We serve 32,000 students at 35 school sites and 33 schools.
My name is David Miyashiro. I'm superintendent of the Cajon Valley Union School District in the eastern region of San Diego, serving 17,000 students across 28 schools.
How is your school district approaching AI tools like ChatGPT?
Marietta City Schools is approaching ChatGPT, I think, in a slow and potentially deliberate way. I will also say that as superintendent, someone in the room often leading these conversations, part of what makes it so slow and deliberate is because I myself don't even understand. I just last week was contacted by a veteran teacher in this district who I respect and put on the highest of pedestals I've known for 20 years. And he called me and said, "Hey, what are you going to do about ChatGPT and how can we make that a tool and a resource for learning?" And I said, "Well, we're still trying to understand." And his comment to me, and I had forgotten this. He said, "Grant, 15 years ago, I remember when you said we couldn't use Wikipedia as a resource in social studies classes." And I had to step back for a moment and reflect on the fact that we can't be that slow to the game with ChatGPT.
I am so proud of Stafford County and our school board because they are the first in Virginia to pass a generative AI policy. And I have written a corresponding regulation with my technology team and the help of my technology advisory committee to create some guardrails and some guidelines and some definitions that can be shared. What a huge step in the right direction. And I will say that I give a lot of credit to our school board because they acknowledged upfront that they were passing a policy that they knew that they were going to have to amend in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, because of how rapidly things are changing. The genesis of this, and there were a lot of differing views on why they should pass a policy, but they all ultimately agreed that this was important, was that we wanted to create some literacy in this space for our kids and for our staff, and that we wanted to communicate with clarity why this was important, not to replace teachers, but to augment instruction and to provide another opportunity to enhance the skill development of our kids. That is so wonderful and so useful. I will say in terms of the specific tools, I have to give a shout out to Bard because they've adjusted their algorithms to be a little bit more kid friendly and their user space down to 13 versus ChatGPT, which is really not really set at that age band. I give a lot of credit to our tech team who really embraced this idea and wanted to jump ahead forward. I give a lot of credit to our teachers. Instead of battling this in the classroom and having 20 different versions of how to respond to this, to having some kind of agreed upon approach and agreed upon definitions, it's turned out to be a great learning opportunity for us. And it's something that we're going to continue to learn in. And really excited about what the future might hold in this space for us.
Our students and teachers were using ChatGPT as soon as it came out, just like the rest of the world, but not proportionally across the whole system. And what we saw is some teachers and some students have access to productivity tools, have access to things that can help them be more efficient. So the divide between access and equity really increased. We feel as a school district, we need to provide that, not just free access to GPT 3.5, but GPT 4 with guardrails so that we can know that what data and security and privacy is in place, we put in there, and that access is not enough. We have to teach all of our people how to best use these new tools.
Okay, so are there any positive use cases that you've heard of from students or teachers around ChatGPT?
So as I've talked with teachers in our district about ChatGPT, particularly at the high school level, I've heard some fascinating and very engaging opportunities for teachers to leverage ChatGPT to help students filter through quality of content. So it becomes a supplement to the work that the child's doing. In some cases, teachers have embraced it. They're not afraid of it. They're not saying no, but instead they're trying to give, if you will, students a chance for digital citizenship and digital scrutiny to make sure that they have a high level of awareness about what comes in. And I think that in itself has been such a valuable learning opportunity for our kids. Not everything that comes from ChatGPT is accurate or the gospel. And certainly there are ways in which we can help kids understand that.
One of the best ones that I've seen is a 15 ways to use generative AI on this assignment. Whatever this assignment is a teacher being very clever about how to facilitate generative AI versus to thwart it by saying, these are the smart ways to use generative AI on this assignment versus trying to say, don't use it on this assignment or you're going to get penalized. I will say that this is also something that we have a training module on, and our staff can get badged in this space. I'm not quite done with my beginner generative AI badge, but I'm working towards it. So I can throw that on my email as well. But what a great learning opportunity and a great tool for our kids to learn something new and something that could potentially be transformative in their future work.
Schooljoy is a partner that we're piloting right now with, and what they provide are virtual coaches. Our kids have virtual interviews with bots that are from certain companies within our area. The AI also helps them take their accomplishments, their grades, their interests, and turn it into a resume with a click, and then take that resume and turn it into an elevator pitch that they can practice to work on their mentorship or pitching themselves in a job interview. The student use cases are really incredible with just even this early stage of what's available in generative AI.
With regards to ChatGPT and other AI tools, are you changing your techniques for grading students and the types of assignments being used in the classroom?
So as you think about ChatGPT and the potential assignments that students could do in the classroom, there's an opportunity for teachers to differentiate. I have talked to teachers specifically about how can they leverage ChatGPT as a resource to a broader assignment, to a broader critical analysis. It is a complement to everything else that the child will be expected to do. I also just have to add, in addition to what teachers are doing, I think there's a real conversation for superintendents and boards of education to say, how do you update your district policies to align with the current realities around ChatGPT? And I think both of those conversations, how it's an instructional resource and a complement, but also how are we addressing and acknowledging and board policies, both are critically important.
I love the notion of teachers and instructors creating the framework for which they can use generative AI on an assignment versus having the deficit mindset of saying, these are the ways you can't. A good example of the 15 ways to use generative AI on this assignment as a tool is to say, you could have generative AI write an essay on this space and you are responsible for editing it. So your edits and what you changed and why. That's a great way to expand on our kids' writing skills and abilities.
One of the coolest features of the generative AI we're using for content creation, teachers can customize their lessons to the student based on their sports interests, based on their music. Anything that the student tells about themselves and their profile will come at them in the terms of questions or math problems. The challenge with that is that becomes a grading nightmare for a teacher if they have to grade each one individually now, because now it's not just 30 different students, but 30 different modalities with different rubrics. So we're utilizing the AI to now help with the grading and teaching assistant. So helping teachers grade and make sense of what students are answering. And that's going to take some time to trust the AI that it's going to be accurate, but the early signs are that it's pretty spot on.
Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.